We all know that the Soulsborne games are very, very, very difficult, but Soulsborne clone games are also pretty difficult, and I thought I'd rank every single Soulsborne game and clone game from easiest to hardest. Mind you, these are only the games that I have personally played, so if there's a Soulsborne game out there that I haven't played, it can't be on the list. Also, I'm not talking about DLC because that also makes some of the games even harder. So, without further ado, I introduce you to my Soulsborne list ranked from easiest to hardest. Hope you guys enjoy. It kind of sucks putting Dark Souls 2 on here, but it's true. Dark Souls 2 is the easiest Souls-like game I have ever played. And it sucks so much because this was actually the first Dark Souls game that I ever played, and it was hard to me. But then I went and I played the other Souls-like games, and coming back to Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, mind you, which is even harder, the game was still pretty easy. Like, the only thing pretty difficult about Dark Souls 2 is that the Estus is so slow in this game that it just gets you more deaths than it really should. So, unfortunately, Dark Souls 2 is the easiest. Pretty difficult if you're a beginner, but if you're a pro, then Dark Souls 2 is pretty much nothing. Now, a lot of people say Demon Souls is the hardest or second hardest Souls-like game that was ever created, and I personally do not agree. Like, this list, if you're a pro Souls gamer and you played every single Souls game, like, this list is like gonna be like so upside down for you, because I don't think Demon Souls is really that difficult if you take your time and go through it. It's not that bad. I played this game probably back 2013 or 14. I played it with my friend Guy, and me and him both beat the game, and it wasn't really even that bad. Okay, a hacker did end up coming into our world and giving us a whole bunch of moon grass, but that is a okay, maybe it made the game a lot more easier than I remember back when I was a kid, but still, it wasn't really that difficult because I didn't really take as much damage to actually care about having all that grass to keep me alive. The game is still pretty difficult, but I personally don't think it's that bad due to the bosses being pretty easy if you take your time and just dodge and roll. And actually, the one boss that did give me trouble was the blind boss that I didn't even know was blind. When I went against that boss, I was running around, hitting him, rolling, and he was just twirling around, slapping me around. That was literally the hardest part of the game, that one boss. The final boss didn't even give me that much trouble because he didn't even do his thrust attack. So, for me, Demon Souls isn't really that difficult, but, you know, for you, I guess it could be. Oh my gosh. Dark Souls 3 was such an amazing game. DLC was pretty cool too. Never got to play it though, but watching people run through it, it just makes me want to buy the game and get the DLC. Man, but it really wasn't that hard. It was pretty difficult. At some points, it was pretty frustrating, especially that fucking swamp. But when it comes to just being difficult all around, it's more challenging than hard. I'd use the word challenging instead of just saying it was a hard game, because when it comes down to it, they made the speed like Bloodborne, but they kept the defensive stuff like the old Dark Souls. So overall, it didn't make the game that much difficult. They pretty much made it easier when it comes to gameplay. They made Estus shots faster, they made movement faster, the boss battles somewhat difficult, but a lot of them were more of a gimmick Whether it's, oh, find the real me, but I die pretty easily, or hit these bracelets and I'll die, or here's a giant sword and behind the boss fight, if you use it, you'll one-shot me. So it just pretty much made the boss fight uh, more of a toy, if anything. But still a pretty good game, not a hard Souls game. The way you would normally play a Souls game would be to block and counter your opponent at all times, but in Bloodborne they pretty much got rid of turtling and just straight up said, here you go, here's a weapon, here's a gun, use the gun for parrying, but basically you have no defense. Yes, you have armor, but your armor is a set of clothing. No more medieval, strong, durable plated armor. Now you just have some cloth, and basically the cloth is only represented by if you can survive some poison a little bit more, if you can, take a little bit more slash damage, and no armor is super OP. Well, in my playthrough, there was none that was super OP. I just pretty much mixed and matched whatever made me look cool. Now, with the gameplay, it's like super fast, that's why I like it, and it's hard, but at the same time it's hard because there's not really much defense unless you're parrying somebody, and most of the time you're just straight up attacking, trying to get out of the way. And with the whole blood system, now when you take damage, you can get your damage back instead of having to use up some of your health potions. Now you can just go up and try and get a few hits in and back up and then use the health potion. Now it's like a little risk reward system within the game, which makes it a bit more intense during those clutch fights where it's like, do I back up and heal up, or do I just swipe them a few times to get my health back, knowing I can survive one more hit? And some bosses you can even parry, and a lot of the bosses have a way for you to use a visual attack, which will take a large chunk of their health away, making it seem a little bit more fair when you fight. Now that's if they actually throw only one hit at you. Some of these bosses just have multiple random hits, and it's just like, what the hell? They throw a bit of cheapness at you, but still a really good game, and pretty hard at that too. Alright, imagine Bloodborne. Now get rid of the bullets and replace it with stamina. Basically, stamina is the only reason why this is higher than Bloodborne. If you constantly swing, your character gets tired, and if you get hit, you possibly get one-shotted. Now, why do you do this? Because the enemies will attack you relentlessly unless you wore down their stamina, and then you can one-shot them. Yeah. Not to mention the hardest hell bosses that are pretty much the same as Oni. They'll keep attacking you and you have to get their stamina down, except they have a lot more. Terrible thing about it, by the time you finish the game, you'll fight the same few bosses, except they have more health, which means they have more stamina, and they do more damage. Fun. The only thing keeping this game from being super very hard is the way they had that RPG element set up, so you can actually weaken the bosses several times, and there's some spells that can actually make the boss move so slow they probably won't even hit you one time during the whole boss fight. Pretty much negating all the complaints I have for this game.
Fuck this crap game! Get off me! I can't move! This game is garbage! You wimp!
Imagine tricky level designs, hard enemies, rapid spawns, and no mobility because the game is in 2D. This game is hard. Oh my god. The hardest Souls game I ever played. Dark Souls fucking 1. I still haven't even beaten this game, and if they don't come up with a remaster for it, I'm never playing it. I'm not going back to my PS3 to play it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys a story that makes me look like the worst Dark Souls player that ever lived. Okay, so I was live streaming Dark Souls 1 And this guy came into my stream and he's like, "Oh, you playing Dark Souls 1 PS3? Oh, can I join?" I said, "Yeah, sure, you could join." So I summoned him, and he gives me a hacked sword that one-shots everything besides bosses. It pretty much three-shots bosses. And I still couldn't beat the game due to this one thing. This one fucking thing. This one stage is keeping me from beating every single Souls game. And it's disheartening. But that's my video of the hardest Souls-like games. I'm Mystery Mr. R. Comment, rate, subscribe.